Welcome to That 80s Show. It is Wham week, and I am angry with Fallout Boy. Hello, Dori. How are you doing?
Wow, that's a lot to take in just for your first intro of the show. But it is Wham week, so I'm doing well.
We're going to get into very exciting... Listen, Dori and I don't have much going on, right? It's all about Wham for us. So
we have a lot going on. It's just that 90% of it is Wham related, okay?
Exactly. No, it's nobody gets it. Nobody else gets it. It's not our fault. And the Wham documentary hit Netflix this week, so we're going to get into that. But first thing, Billy Joel did a song in the 80s.
Yeah.
We Didn't Start the Fire. Remember the music video of that? People loved it. I don't know why. I just remember it always being on TV.
Remember it.
So... Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Do you remember back in the 80s, Dori? And it went into the 90s.
Yes.
So obviously music videos came out in the 80s. We had all these TV shows that had played music videos, right? Do you remember them playing music videos between TV shows? I love that.
Yes, once in a while that would happen.
Yeah, yes. As fillers. Fillers between TV shows.
Bizarre.
Yeah. So
when they didn't have ads.
And then they had, it was kind of between that era before they had community or continuity announcers. Remember those people who would like intro your shows in between?
Of course.
Make
Scott
making banal chit chat. Now they just do podcasts. No.
And make banal chit chat there.
Yeah, there you go. So We Didn't Start the Fire, song Billy Joel, and all he really did.
I hate that song.
Do you hate that song? Why?
I think it's very clever. The lyrics were very good, but I hate the sound of it. Like it just bugs me somehow.
I remember at the time it was very it was like very unlike Billy Joel's sound. It was quite a different sound for him. And if you listen back to his stuff.
I like Billy Joel, I just don't like that one.
Yeah. And it is very clever with the lyrics because he just takes a bunch of words and puts them together in a song, which you may go, but that's all lyrics in the world, isn't it ever? But no, yes. He just takes names of things. I mean, in there, Buddy Holly, Ben-Hur, Space Monkey Mafia, U2 gets a name check in there, Psycho gets a name check in there. It's a very nice little late, listen, that song came out in 1989. So it's very much like a 80s time capsule, right?
No, but it goes back even way further than the 80s. I think it starts in like the 50s, even the 40s possibly, don't they? They refer to the H-bomb.
Yeah.
So it goes back to World War II.
North Korea, South Korea, Marilyn Monroe. England's got a new queen. So Eisenhower, So it does go back further.
It goes back far,
So it
catches
but it ends
in the 80s.
Ends in the
primarily.
80s. So we get, if you listen to this on Cliff Central, you'll be familiar with the young Ryan. He also hosts a podcast with me, Working Title FC, and he sent something from a band. Dori, what do Fall Out Boy do? I know they're a band.
Yeah, they've done a few songs I've liked, I have to say.
Okay.
Not bad. They're not bad.
So, but Fall Out Boy is very much something that Ryan would listen to. It's his genre, I think.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
He sends us something and he goes, you guys are going to hate this. So they've redone We Didn't Start the Fire, Fall Out Boy.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
and they've picked up from 1989 and to today.
A bit of a mixed match because they go Captain Planet, Arab Spring, LA Riot, Rodney King. So it's a little bit all over the place there, right? It's not chronological.
Dude. Well, okay, so that's what I was going to say. The funniest comment on the YouTube video for it is, I wish this was chronological. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Neither of them are chronological. That's impossible. It's impossible.
I know, but it would at least start off chronological because you're going Harry Potter, Twilight, Michael Jackson dies, nuclear accident, Fukushima, Japan. That's just jumping around too much. And you got Cambridge Analytica happening before Lebanon, then the Unabomber. Oh, it's just all over the place for me. It's just all over the place for me, right?
Dude, I bet you some very bored person is going to cut it up and make it chronological.
Oh, good luck to them.
I bet you.
Because I would not, because it means I have to listen to it again. It's not, How weird is it?
It's not a good song. Like, I mean, it is a good song, but I don't enjoy it.
So it is weird for you because I don't hate the original. It's not one of my favorites, but like I appreciate it. It's like very clever. I like it. Yet this remake, which is exactly the same, all that's really changed is the lyrics. I mean, there's not much. And the voice. I'm like, I can't stand it.
Otherwise, it's the same.
Yeah.
Why? Why can't you stand it?
Because youngsters are doing it. Maybe that's why I can't stand it.
Grumpy old man syndrome.
Also, I was kind of like, I wonder how many 80s references there are, because obviously there's more 80s references in the original. They picked up from the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. There won't be any 80s references. There might be some stuff that bleeds into the 80s.
Yeah. There's a line here, Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And when I was going through the lyrics, I was like, oh, Great Garbage Pail Kids. And then that's it. So maybe that's why I don't like it. But anyway, that's enough time spent on Fall Out Boy doing We Didn't Start the Fire. You didn't start it, but you can stop it. That is a message from that 80s show.
Wow.
Yes. That's my message to Fall Out Boy.
So much hate.
It's not hate. It's just like, why? Why would you do that?
No, wait. Ryan was saying every however many years it is, another artist must pick up and carry on. So basically, in 20-something years' time, another artist of the time needs to make the next We Didn't Start the Fire starting from 2023.
That's a big
Ryan's
call.
Idea.
That's a big call. That's not bad.
I mean, it might just happen.
Yeah, it probably will happen. Now it's a thing. Chat GPT, do that. Go write a script that does that.
Our future robotic overlords, please continue the trend of the song.
And since you're doing it, may you create a robotic That 80 Show who will hate on that version as well. Because they will be celebrating all the things from the 2020s. Okay, Dori, huge excitement. Brewing for a while. We hear a while back that there's a documentary about Wham coming out and that it is backed, has the full support, and I think he's a producer of Andrew Ridgeley. Oh, great. This is gonna be it. We're super excited. I think they teased it for about a year and hit Netflix on Wednesday. We're like, it's on Netflix right now. How many times have you watched it, Dori?
Only one so far, but so far being the key words. Okay. Because I need to, there's definitely some stuff that I need to watch again.
Okay.
But at the same time, Paulo, I cried very much at the end. So I need to prepare myself emotionally to watch it again, or I'll just not watch the end again.
Spoiler alert.
Too much for me.
Spoiler alert. And I think Dori didn't realize
Spoiler alert, Wham break up.
Wham break up. Okay. Spoiler alert.
They do the final concert.
Yeah. Called the final.
No, that ending was very emotional. I don't know about you. Were you crying?
So let's approach this, right? I think what you need to understand, you may be listening to this, you may be a casual Wham fan, right? Casual like them.
Yeah.
Dori and I love Wham. Okay. We know a lot about Wham.
We live for Wham.
So
yes.
Our experience is going to be different. And for me, I'm marking on a higher curve. So let's start off with you, Dori. We're talking Wham, the documentary on Netflix. I watched it properly once. I've had it on in the background, pretty much on and off for the past couple of days.
Okay.
But Dori, you're going to forego your movie recommendation this week so that we can talk about Wham.
I am.
Wham.
Yes. I think it needs some time.
The documentary is just called Wham, the documentary, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm so distracted. I'm just like, Wham. This is Wham, the documentary. Yes. Okay. Right. So here you go. This is Dori's viewing recommendation for this week.
Well, I mean, it's only a recommendation if you're going to appreciate it. If you think Wham are awful, hello to my friend Richard. If you think Wham are awful, don't watch it because it's all about Wham. That being said, I think there might be some people who could be persuaded from the documentary that Wham were more important and more interesting than they might think. It is possible that could happen. I think anybody who has a vague liking for Wham but doesn't know a lot about them will thoroughly enjoy it, because there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. And I mean, Paulo, we discussed before, will there be anything we don't know? Will we learn anything we didn't know from this documentary? No, I did not. But the footage, I saw lots of footage of stuff that I had not seen. And that was, for me, really enjoyable and really interesting. I don't even know where they got some of the footage. It was amazing, some of the footage that they had. And yes, I sat there pretty much predicting and narrating the story as it went.
Right.
It's like, okay, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened. And I was watching with Barrett, who he's a big Wham fan, but he's not on our level. So he was sitting there going, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And I was like, and I just looked at him, with that look, going, it's okay. It's okay. I'll lend you Andrew's book, and then you will know. You will know all the things.
So that's one of the things, right? So
yeah,
you've read Andrew Ridgeley's book, George and I,
yes.
George and Me.
Yes,
George, right. So that book came out about 3-4 years ago, pre-pandemic kind of thing, and a lot of. So how they got the footage is because his mother, and this is true, he talks about it in the book as well.
The scrapbooks.
Yeah.
The scrapbooks.
His mother was fanatical about documenting everything. Yes. And that's why there's so much footage, right? So that's why there is so much of this behind the scenes, so many clippings, stories, whatever. The device they used that was obviously George Michael's voice, not a synthetic voice, where they have the only two voices you hear are the two of them. And they're narrating their story, kind of line by line. Each one does it. I love that device. It's very clever. And yes, we are annoying people to watch it with, because I was watching with my wife and my daughter. And like every point I go, oh, you know what happened? Yeah, they did this. Yeah, and then we play, and then that's what they say.
Fill in the gaps, because they rushed through things. It's very rushed.
Right.
They don't go deep.
It's an hour and a half.
Things.
It's an hour and a half. And for me, when you read the Andrew Ridgeley's book, each one of those little segments that they like rush through, and some of them was even like just a throwaway comment. I think one of the things that stood out for me was Andrew Ridgeley says, the family found me a bad influence, and it's just moved on. And they show like some goofy videos of him skateboarding.
Yeah.
It's like, no, in the book, they talk about all the shit that he got him into, right? And why they thought he was a bad influence. The Top of the Pops appearance. It's like, oh, we went on Top of the Pops. We did a silly dance, had no clothes.
I know.
The whole story about that day and the lead up to it
is amazing.
It's amazing. And it kind of like it's like, for me, it was a trailer for the book. They kind of go, get the full story.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah.
So take aside that we're super Wham fans, right? So what I think I'd like people to walk away from it is that Wham is seen, and they reference it like all the time in all the literature and documentaries and everything that have been about Wham the past, since Wham broke up, is that, yes, they had this bubblegum image and they were kind of like had weird clothes and did silly dances, whatever. But George was a phenomenal writer, a phenomenal songwriter, to the point that Elton John is like, myself and David Bowie wish we could write like him, like we do our thing. I mean, we cannot write like him.
To the Beatles. I mean,
you know what I mean?
Elton John compared him to Lennon. Yeah.
So that's what you take from it, going like, it was this entry in. And the other thing about Wham is like how culturally, because I bet you say to most people, name an 80s band. Like most people will just go Wham. Okay, or they'll go the Wake Me Up Before You Go Guys. They only lasted.
Will they?
They'll recognize Wham. Okay, so you'll show them a picture and say which of these were from the 80s, right? Okay, they only lasted like 4 years or so, and they only had 3 or 4 albums.
Yeah,
loads of compilated, but like a handful of albums. Yet they made such an impact. Because they were the right place, right time. They were so different. Like they reference, they say everyone was kind of into punk and we were just not. We were just making pop music, popular, fun again. But our topics were quite like serious, what we were singing about. Yeah. So I think every time one of these things comes out, like I hope people get this appreciation for George Michael, actually, and what he contributed to music.
No, not yes, absolutely. But I think this documentary, it really also shows how important Andrew was, because everyone used to think Andrew was just the guy in the background.
Yeah,
the schlep along, whatever. Yeah. The guy who's like trailing behind and kind of not necessary. Meanwhile, this documentary makes it quite clear, in George's words, that Andrew was literally the reason the band existed.
And again, we go back to the book, in that George Michael actually, the character of George Michael he created was a composite of Andrew Ridgeley. He's kind of go, I'm going to make a guy like you. And that's what he hid behind, because he was like insecure and he was battling with himself. He said, and Andrew Ridgeley was, yes, he wasn't George Michael, but he was the charisma. He chose their look, their outfits. He did the music. He was the big driver. He was the outgoing one, the charismatic one. And George was like, okay, when I'm George Michael, I'm Andrew. I'm like a version of Andrew, and I'm just going to copy what he does because that's what this needs to be. And then when he went on his solo career, then he kind of had his own identity. So he's not just the other guy from Wham. He is Wham.
No.
Like they say, Wham is, I think it was their manager says it, they're both Wham. Like Wham is them. It's not one, Wham is them. So
that was the other thing that was glossed over that Barrett was surprised by, was how they just were so screwed financially in the beginning, how they got absolutely no money from that first record company. And I said to him, no, you got to read the book, because like they really they had to gloss over it for the docu. The docu's an hour and a half. The docu, I always complain that Netflix drags things out. In this case, Netflix could have dragged it out a bit more, actually. This could have been a 3-part. It could have been 3 parts.
I mean,
but look, they had to work with what they had. They obviously didn't have that much footage and that much narration. And remember, we read that article before, which said, what the reviewer said, what he didn't like about it was that they didn't speak to Pepsi and Shirley, and they didn't speak to anybody else. And I thought it didn't matter. I thought it was great that it was just the two of them. Actually, I liked that about it.
I think there is a I think there's an alternate universe version of this documentary where they speak to Bono and they speak to Elton John.
The director's cut,
But here's the thing, and I was telling my wife this, is that Andrew Ridgeley has become the custodian of George Michael's memory, right? You see it all the time. Whether it's an official thing, the family, the estate has definitely gone, you are in charge of the memory. And he has, much like Queen did with Freddie Mercury, but a lot was out the bag that they couldn't control, of going, you are curating this image of him. And whether it be through the book or everything we've seen, anytime Andrew Ridgeley, I don't want to say control the narrative because it sounds bad, but he's very carefully crafted what he wants the world to know about Andrew and about George. And that's the George that he sees, right? Or the one that he knew. And the scandals came later. And I mean, in terms of scandals, the scandals weren't like that bad. I mean, even he just rode this major scandal at the time, and he just rode it. Like George Michael didn't flinch about the whole kind of getting caught out in a bathroom in the park and all that. But when it comes to George Michael as Wham, Andrew has gone, this is the story I want the world to know, and I'm going to make sure that that's how it goes. Because he was involved in this documentary, and he would have gone, no, this is what we're telling. And it's very loving. And don't get me, when you read the book in his words, he idolizes George. That was like a bromance bar none, you know. But absolutely. But the cool thing is that having read Andrew's book, and then now hearing, like you said, George say those things, that was powerful, because you go, oh, surely, okay, maybe it was one way, or maybe you're being revisionist, whatever. And then when you have the footage and that backs it up, you're like, okay, it was so mutual between the two of them.
In fact, he possibly downplayed it in the book, actually.
Yeah. So that's the serious stuff, Dori. Yes. Other than that, what a...
should we get on to the frivolous stuff?
What a fucking romp.
Those little teeny tiny shorts.
Oh boy, listen here.
The thing that Barrett noticed most. Let's start with the thing that Barrett noticed most in some of the scenes of the documentary.
I think there were 3 things that Barrett noticed most, and they tend to go together, those 3 things. This newfound footage, George Michael did not like wearing underpants under his jeans. Let's put it that way. I very much doubt he was wearing underpants under his little shorts, his little yellow or white shorts.
No.
So that's one of the things we noticed. I would have loved to have seen or the story told. So it's intimated, right? But about Tony Pike, right?
Oh, yes.
I mean,
oh God, they glossed over Tony. We know Tony deeper than that.
Hey,
a quick shot of Grace Jones. You would have picked up
man,
the quick shot of Grace Jones.
Come on, what are we talking? What are you talking about? A quick shot of Grace Jones. Like, okay, if you've never listened to the show, Tony Pike had this hedonistic villa resort in Ibiza in the 80s, right? He was an Englishman, club promoter, moved out to Ibiza, and he kind of became this place where all the stars of the 80s would go to just let their hair down. And it was like, no paparazzi, no outsiders, just us, and anyone can do what they want. I don't care, okay, as long as you do it, yeah. And everyone went there. Stories of...
And as long as you sleep with me in the process was Tony Pike's motto.
Kind of along the way, yes. So, I mean, Grace, you said Grace Jones was there. I mean, her and Dolph Lundgren had marathon lovemaking sessions that everyone could see. It's just the stories about Pike Island are notorious. He himself claims that, what? Oh, okay. There's a thing. He said it was because of a medical condition.
Don't get it wrong.
I don't even want to say it. It's so gross. But he said, like, because of a medical condition, he was, I don't even know how to say this properly. It's if you were.
He was a hard man to find.
There you go. And a hard for very long. It would take you very long and hard. You get what we're saying, right?
Yes.
And he claims because he had an extra aorta in his heart. Like, who the fuck knows what he was talking about? And
yes, there was a lot of blood pumping in certain areas.
Yes, right. And this was just you could do whatever you wanted at this place. And in this documentary, George Michael talks about when I was in Ibiza, spent the night with somebody, blah blah blah. And it's like you read enough, you go, it was Tony Pike. It was Tony Pike trying to seduce a young, curious George Michael, right? It's never been confirmed.
I didn't even think of that.
It's never been confirmed.
I didn't even put two and two together there.
Yes.
I thought it was just maybe some random other person, possibly Freddie Mercury.
It's never been confirmed. It's never been confirmed.
Wow.
But it's alleged that it was Tony Pike that made that move. And therefore, now I forget the name of which song they were talking about, but therefore that song is now dedicated to Tony Pike and makes me think of it in a completely different way. So
I'm going to rewatch that part specifically.
One thing I didn't realize, I thought Pepsi was always the same Pepsi, but it wasn't Pepsi. It was another lady before that.
Yes. I did remember that, but I didn't realize that Pepsi came in actually so late.
Yeah.
Like for me, she was there from the start.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
That's what I thought. So we've spoken about the little shorts. We've spoken about Tony Pike. We know Elton John loves George Michael almost as much as us and Andrew do. What would you have done differently if you were in charge of making the movie, the documentary?
Sure, that's a very difficult question to answer.
Yeah, it's kind of like
I don't know what I would have had to work with.
Say you had everything.
See, and this is the thing: is that I mean, I would have. First of all, they didn't make enough of a big deal about the fact that when they went to China, no other band from like the Western world had done that before.
Yeah.
From that era, or like even the previous decade, or whatever, like modern music, let's call it, had never done that. And in fact, Barrett said to me, who has since been to China after them? And I said, I actually don't know. We'd have to look it up. I don't know who else has been to China.
Oh,
it's just like we know Wham went to China.
Oh no, I'd imagine it's regular. I mean, now the doors are open, but definitely at the time,
So did they open the door? Yeah,
of course they did. They kicked that little communist door down and went over to China.
They came bursting out of the closet doors. Yes, that was the other thing, is that I was watching with my 15-year-old, and it was like, and I mean, I was even saying, how did we not know that he was gay? And my kid's like, they're so gay, and I'm like, but no, they are not. Yeah. Only George.
Yeah.
And Andrew looked as gay. Honestly,
It's
and
just
I mean that as the biggest compliment, you know.
There is a moment where, like, yes, everyone just looked like that in the 80s. Like, you couldn't. I mean, I don't. It's like the way you dress and that is like. I mean, if that's your marker, you're an idiot. However, there was a little moment where George flicked his hair while he was taking photos in China. Like so much panache. I was like, oh yes, oh yes.
And he like does a little pout at the camera as well, like
constantly.
Yeah, I was just like,
constantly. But you know, I think that's one of those things that, like, I mean, obviously we didn't live in the UK in the 80s, but I think there's kind of go, you know, the way the UK press and public have destroyed other people. Where with George, everyone kind of knew, and they were like, it actually doesn't matter. We actually got such an affection towards this guy. What? How did you finish answering? If you could do it,
no.
If you could make it, if you you wouldn't change a thing.
I don't know.
You wouldn't change a thing.
I would make it longer. I would delve deeper into each section probably.
And
there was a lot that was just
not the scandalous stuff, right? I mean, we don't want scandal. It kind of goes like the original band. I'd never heard the original tapes of some of the songs because obviously they wrote them like 2 years before they released them.
The original version of Careless Whisper. I never heard that.
I'd heard that before.
That was amazing.
I'd heard that before.
The one that I knew that they hated, that they went all the way to America, that George went all the way to America to do, and I knew what was coming, that they were going to go, we don't like this. And I was kind of like almost looking at Barrett going, oh, you know, he doesn't know this. He doesn't know what's coming kind of thing.
Well, he doesn't listen to the show because a few weeks ago we spoke about the saxophonist that contributed to the best saxophone solo ever. Also, the Last Christmas when they went away to go shoot that is like there is a hell of a story behind that of just how progressively they were getting trashed throughout the day.
God.
You know,
and those scenes where he's clearly falling over drunk.
Yes,
Andrew. Like really, really drunk.
Once it's contextualized.
No, I mean, so much great footage.
What it did spark an idea for us on that 80 show is we thought, oh, we got to do a fan fiction.
You mean you?
Because basically I got to do the work.
It's all your idea.
We got to do a fan.
I want you to have full credit.
Okay. We're going to do a fan fiction audio documentary, audio story because they flew out all their friends to the ski resort to go shoot the video for Last Christmas. Flew out all the friends.
Yeah.
And they just partied all weekend. They just got drunk. They only really cared about George Michael.
Very, very drunk.
Everyone got trashed. Yeah. But we want to imagine where all these friends get flown out, middle of the 80s, into a ski resort, and there's a freak storm, blizzard, locks them all in. They're all trapped inside the resort, and then there's a murder. A murder most foul.
Dun, dun, dun.
And Detective Andrew Ridgely is tasked with solving the murder. Things Andrew didn't want us to see either was his solo song. I noticed that was kind of like, no, I never made music after Wham. No, but you did. No, never, no music. We didn't, Wham, I didn't want to do music.
Oh, my career was over on that day. That was it.
But you did. But you did make a particular song. It wasn't the best. We love you, but you didn't never make music again. So that is the Wham documentary on Netflix.
Yes. And thank you, Netflix. I just want to say thank you, Netflix, because it is great that it's there.
Now, the next one, the scandalous one, is that this is where the George Michael estate have not given the rights for them to make this, is a warts and all biopic of the Wham story, where maybe they're going to give you the salacious stuff. And the
that we will not even know about.
You know what? It's going to be made up. I'm telling you, it's going to be hearsay and tabloid tattle. And they say you will never make this. This will never see the light of day. We'll burn you to the ground if you try to make this.
That's where they're going to reveal the photo of George and Tony Park in an embrace in the bed in Ibiza.
That's basically what it is.
That'll be it.
That's basically what it is. Tony Pike. A man people don't know. If you want to know what Tony Pike looks like, Club Tropicana music video. There's a quick shot of him. He is the guy he's the bartender without a shirt, little neckerchief, hat. He's the guy. That is Tony Pike. Google him.
You always forget the glorious mustache.
Oh my God, the mustache. If you're going to Google him, safe search. Make sure safe search is on. You do not want to go down there. So listen.
What has happened to Pike's Hotel though? Because remember, a few years ago there was that article about how it was for sale or something.
It was bought.
The hotel itself.
Yeah, it was bought by a group. Yeah, it was, and it's a resort. It's still standing. It's still there. Oh, you could go and swim in the Club Tropicana pool. Oh, that'd be great.
Well, I think this is what I'm going to say. I think that at some point that needs to be our pilgrimage.
Yes.
As that 80s show. To go and do that at some point.
A Wham-grimmage. We'll go do that. Well, didn't Lewis...
Enough about the Wham-umentary.
Lewis Capaldi did that.
No, did Lewis...
Yes.
Exactly.
At the same resort, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So Lewis
was it the same resort? Or was it just one that looked really similar?
So it's safe to say we are big fans of that documentary. It's safe to say we highly recommend it. And I think it's safe to say we're going to play Wham right now. Welcome to that 80s show. We're now on Threads and Instagram app. What the hell is that, Dori? Why is it a new social network?
What? I don't know. I don't care. I'm too old to care. I'm not interested.
Oh,
I
my
care
word.
about the ones that were there before.
Pen pals and writing messages on the back of the school toilet door. That was social media back in the 80s. Listen, we spoke about the Wham documentary. That was a very mature, grown-up analysis, Dori. I'm proud of us.
I think so. Yes. Tell me, were you dancing around topless to the Wham song now in the break?
No, Dori, I'm a grown man. I was dancing around pantless. Family's home. Yes.
Right. Moving on.
Pantless and Whamless. No, not Whamless. Lots of Wham. So that was a very serious, you see, the thing is, right, if you don't know the show, we've got an aim called Road to Ridgely, right, where one day we will get to talk to Andrew Ridgely, right? It's been the aim of the show since we started. And we feel like once we get it, we're going to stop the show and then start a new one called Now That's What I Call That 80 Show. But that's another conversation for another time.
Volume 2.
Volume 2. So this will make up part of our pitch pack to Andrew Ridgely of going, listen, we're serious. We're serious reviewers, Wham archivists, stalkers. I don't know. And then he'll come interview because we think we've approached before. We've approached and they said, and there was a monetary amount floated around to interview Andrew Ridgely. And we're like, no, he doesn't have to pay. He can come on the show for free. We won't charge him. So I don't know. I think he thinks he has to pay. He does think he has to pay us, right? Not we have to pay. Talk to him, right?
Who knows? Who knows? Potato.
Who knows? But we're very serious. But right now, I'm going to give you a movie recommendation that goes, just in case you're wondering, the 80 show, they've gone very serious. They're highbrow. They're talking about compositions and shit like that. We're like, no. I'm going to bring it right back down to the gutter. And at first, I'm going to tell you that my movie is a movie directed by Robert Altman. As a serious director.
What? That's very serious.
That's a serious director. Oh, okay.
Yes.
They call him one of the great modern day directors. He's one of the greats.
An auteur.
Auteur. Oh, jeez. I didn't even know that. Robert Altman, the auto trader. That's him. Starring role, this was her first movie after The Shining, Shelley Duvall. Oh.
Okay.
Wow. And Robin Williams. Oh, my word. What movie am I bringing? Because now you're going, Robin Williams 80s.
Because I'm like, I know some Robert Altman films and none of those people are ringing a bell.
Oh, no, none of them. What am I talking about here? Very early 1980. Came out in 1980. It was Robin Williams' first starring role after Mork and Mindy. Because you remember he did Mork and Mindy TV show. Okay. This is his first role. Role. Like I said, Shelley Duvall had done The Shining, and this was her first movie afterwards. It also starred a fake Bud Spencer. What?
Fake Bud Spencer. Okay.
Like literally fake Bud Spencer.
Someone who looked like him? Someone who looked like him and pretended to be him?
We will reveal all. The movie I'm talking about is the 1980 live action version. And it comes out in a week where I think the Barbie movie is out or coming out. They're promoting the shit out of it. So fictional characters. The 1980 live action version of Popeye. Popeye the Sailor Man.
Oh my God, I've seen that.
Oh, that makes 6 of us.
So it was Brutus who was the Bud Spencer.
Bluto.
I knew it was something like that. Bluto, right, got it.
Okay.
So Shelley Duvall was Olive.
Olive Oyl, correct. Now.
Olive Oyl.
And then, of course, Robin Williams was Popeye. So like everyone knows Popeye. We all know Popeye the Sailor Man. He got his pipe, spinach, gets strong. Bluto's always trying to take Olive Oyl, doing some stuff. Popeye saves her all the time. We watched so many cartoons. We used to watch them in the 80s on Good Morning South Africa, just before we went to school. That was kind of remember? They used to show just before the 7 o'clock news. I think just before the 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock news. But the 7 o'clock news was the main one. And it was a quick little cartoon before you left. Like, I gotta, your mother's like, you can watch a cartoon, you got to be ready for school. And as soon as you got to go, you're like, okay. And sometimes they show Popeye. I really love Popeye. I love Popeye. And in the 1980s, they made a movie starring Robin Williams as Popeye, Shelley Duvall as Olive Oyl. And
it says here family musical.
Yes. So
it's a musical?
Of course. What happened is that they saw the success of Annie, right, which is also based on a comic strip from the 50s, and they were like, we want it, but they couldn't get the rights. Next one they could get was Popeye, and they said, well, Annie did so well because it was a musical, we want to do a musical. Bad idea. It's a terrible idea to make it a musical, right? One of the things that sunk the film.
Maybe I haven't seen it, because I would remember that.
This is a movie that if you've seen it,
actually seen it,
you'll remember it.
Yeah.
I read one. When
did you watch it for the first time?
I read one review that said, "I'm so glad this movie exists because now I know what it's like taking mushrooms without taking mushrooms."
Okay.
It's set in this fictional town of where Popeye originally came from. We never saw it in the cartoons, called Sweetwater, and they rebuilt Sweetwater as an actual village in Malta, where they moved the whole cast and crew there for a couple of months to make the movie. It's not just fronts and they literally built fully functioning buildings in this weird little warpy way that they imagined Sweet Valley. It still stands today. It's actually as a Popeye theme park. You can go to Malta and visit the Popeye theme park, right? It's so mad.
Okay.
The movie makes no sense. I mean, it's based on Popeye. It's like there's Popeye, Olive Oyl is dating Bluto. Popeye shows up. They find a baby who can tell the future. And there's a whole thing with that. And then Bluto gets angry. And then there's a squid that attacks Olive Oyl. It's just a mess. It's just as a story, it's a nightmare. But as a visual feast, it's a nightmare as well. Because
was it a success or a flop? Because I'm guessing it was a flop.
Relatively not a flop, but kind of like people just watched it out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Often we talk about movies that were a flop to begin with, then they became a cult classic. This didn't even become a cult classic. It's just like
no, because I'd never heard of it. Like
bizarre.
Never. I mean, I have in a way. There's something in my brain that tells me I know that this exists and that I thought I might have seen it. But as soon as I saw it was a musical, I'm like, no, I definitely have not seen this because I would remember that.
You would remember. Robin Williams singing as Popeye.
I'm looking at the poster. It is. I definitely haven't seen it.
It's an oddity.
I mean, they're well cast.
Very well.
They certainly look like the characters.
Yeah, that's one of the things they did really well. But it's an absolute oddity of a movie. Now, one of the things about Popeye that we all know is his massive forearms. Okay, don't ask how he got them. Many nights out at sea.
Yep.
But they recreated this in the days before CGI. So they had these inflatable forearms that they had to put on Robin Williams every single day to
oh my God.
Give him. There are so many shots in this movie where you don't see his arms because there was such a problem with these forearms. They kept changing the model. It kept irritating him. They would pop mid-scene. And there are so many shots where you don't see his arms just because they're like, we cannot wait to fix his arms. We just have to shoot. Don't see the arms. It's that sort of movie, right? And then, of course, I mentioned the fake Bud Spencer. So
yes,
the guy who plays Bluto is a guy called Paul L. Smith, right?
Yes,
American actor. So
you'll know him if you see him.
No, you'll think he's Bud Spencer if you see him. No, you'll think he's Bud Spencer, right? So
I think I'm confusing him for someone else. Not Bud Spencer, but someone else.
Okay, because all he's ever been in is he was in this Popeye movie, and then he was in the original Dune from 1984, and then Red Sonja in 1985. And then nothing else.
Which you have spoken about previously.
Right, both of those.
Okay.
And then nothing else we've seen since. Because what happened after the success of Bud Spencer and Terence Hill? Okay.
Everyone thought it was him.
A production studio saw, wow, those two are so popular. And Bud Spencer and Terence Hill, Italian, by the way, just in case you don't know. They're Italians.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So a production studio saw the success of them and he created a fake version of Bud Spencer and Terence Hill and made movies in the style of, so he basically ripped Bud Spencer and Terence Hill off, right? Same style, same everything, to the point that he forced Paul Smith contractually to change his name to Bob Spencer. I'm not lying.
My God.
I'm not lying. I'm not lying. Okay. And the guy who was Terence Hill changed his name to Terence Hall. Okay. So starring Bob Spencer and Terence Hall. Like, you're not going to. Sure, that's the same. Sure, looks like him. Okay, that's it. And they traded these movies off the fact it's Bud Spencer and Terence Hill, but it wasn't. It was Bob Spencer and Terence Hall. That Paul Smith, a.k.a. Bob Spencer, sued to get his name back. Okay? He said it's vital. I need money. I can't be another person. What a crazy story.
That is a crazy story.
About Paul Smith, Bob Spencer, right? And it's just that, like I say, this Popeye movie, so many oddities that just pop out of it. They just come out of it like that. So it was a mess. Robert Altman hated it. He did not want to acknowledge that he did this movie.
How did he agree to do it in the first place? Maybe he wanted a free trip to Malta. I'd love to go to Malta. In fact, I might watch this movie just because it's filmed in Malta.
Ah, yes.
Because I think Malta looks fascinating.
Okay, that's a good one. Yes, you should go. You should go to it. I mean, it features in a book called the Fiasco: A History of Hollywood Flops, where they document this movie and just what a bad idea it was. How they got Robert Altman in, nobody knows. Young Dustin Hoffman was meant to play Popeye to begin with, and then he was like, no, it's just, I'm just not where I am.
Robin Williams looks much more like Popeye.
He looks a lot like Popeye. Looks almost, it's weird seeing Robin Williams young as well, like clean shaven, because he was always like quite wild. So it's weird seeing him young. What a weird moment in cinematic history this movie was.
Thank you for sharing it with us, though. And I'm going to have to see if I can track this movie down to watch.
Well, I'm more interested in tracking down the filmography of Bob Spencer and Terence Hall.
Bob Spencer. Oh my God, I can't believe that happened. That's so crazy.
I love it. These are the things that you'll only learn on that 80 show. And that's what we're about. Dori, I want to end off.
Useless factoids. Useless
factoids. And you know what I always do? We're going to play a quick round of 2 80s truths and a lie before we wrap up. And I always go and end up giving you this ridiculous story about a fake Bud Spencer movie franchise before I go into this and I use up one of my great lies. What's wrong with me? All right.
I mean, I would have definitely thought that was a lie.
I know. I don't even think I'm going to play the game because that was such a weird one. I'm going to give you 2 because that was just so weird. I should have used that. Okay. I should have plotted better. But I had these 2 lined up for 2 80s truths and a lie, right? In the there was one point in the Wham documentary that I paused. Just go, oh my God, look at that. When they're shooting, it was for Do They Know It's Christmas, Band-Aid, when they were on stage together at Live Aid. And in one shot, it was, like, oh my God, Elton John, Paul McCartney, Freddie Mercury, and Bono, like all standing next to you, and then George Michael on the other side. I was like, that's just how they lined up on stage. I was like, oh my God, like, that's ridiculous, right? The talent there.
Yeah.
So then obviously see,
I was like, it was like spot the celeb. I was like, also like saying to Barrett, oh, look, there's Stuart Adamson from Big Country, and there's so-and-so. And Barrett was in the recording session part. He's like, look, there's Jodie Watley, because that's Barrett.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Bono, right? So we know that's not his real name. His real name is...
He looked so young.
So young.
He looked so young. Yeah.
When last did you see Bono? Where is Bono?
Please, we don't need to find him. Just leave it.
I hate him, okay.
Leave it alone.
All right, we'll leave him alone. Just quickly. Madonna. Madonna, did you see she had a health scare? She ended up in hospital with a bacterial infection. Did you miss that? Did you see it?
In a vajayjay?
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Where else would it be?
This past weekend...
All news is always about her vajayjay.
I mean, constantly. This past weekend, she's rushed to hospital. I said, Madonna, rushed to, what happened? Bacterial infection. I'm like, oh, of course, Madonna. Of course. The last we saw you, your
what have you been doing?
NFT avatar was growing plants out of her vagina. And then, now what?
No, you can't have that without getting a bacterial infection.
No,
sorry.
It's going to happen. Anyway, she's on the mend. She's out of hospital. Feeling better. But Madonna,
good.
Keep botany out of your bottom. I mean, we don't need to put the two of them together.
Keep botany out of your front bum.
Speaking of front bums, let's go back to Bono. So his real name his real name is Paul David Hewson, right? Pretty random name. Yes. Before he settled on Bono, he had the names of Bono Vox, Hausman, Steinhegvanhuysenolegbangbangbang, Bon Murray, and Steinhegvanhuysenolegbangbangbang. Say that again. Steinhegvanhuysenolegbangbangbang. That's what Bono wanted to call himself. We should have known. Should have known he was a douchebag then. Bon Murray. Okay. So that was
true though.
That's true. That's true. That's
that's true.
That was going to be one of my truths.
I mean, I would believe it was true because it's Bono. So it actually is believable.
Exactly. And this was a fun one. No, it wasn't. Super boring. We use emojis all the time. Somebody told me today that they got feedback on something and the feedback included emojis on it, like on an official document. So what is going on here?
Weird.
Are we there now? Okay, cool. Anyway, we're there. It's fine.
We're about to revert back to pictograms.
Right.
Language will be dying out shortly.
We're back. And we have the 80s to blame for emojis and emoticons, because the first one was used in 1982. A computer scientist playing, early 80s computers. Imagine the fun they're having. He created the first one. Scott Folman on a notice board put the colon, dash, close brackets to make a little smiley face. That was the first time it was used in the 80s.
Really?
Now
as
you
early
know.
As that?
Now you know.
Now I know.
So that would have been my two 80s facts. And sometimes the lies are just so ridiculous. Did you know that? Like sometimes I have to put together the lie that I go, it's not even as ridiculous as the facts. The truth is stranger than fiction. Sometimes on that 80s
What would
show.
the lie have been, or did you not have it ready?
I did. I did not have it ready. I got to be honest. I was busy. I got caught up in Bob Spencer. That's where I was.
But if you had tricked me again, like you have in the past, and made them all truths, and put the Bob Spencer in, I would have definitely said that was the lie.
It sounds so fake, and it really happened. Also, the internet says it happened. You don't even know what's going on. One thing I wanted to talk about, we've got to carry it over to next week because I think it's so interesting, is and it's so of our time, is that right now everyone's talking about the new Shaka Zulu documentary. Right, there's a new one out.
Yes.
Okay, everyone's quite excited about it. I haven't checked in on it yet.
It's a series, though. It's not a documentary.
Sorry,
it's a series,
that's what I mean. Sorry. It is series, right?
Yeah.
New Shaka Zulu series.
I don't have the DSTV, so I cannot watch it at this point in time. But I've heard very good things.
Yeah, people are loving it. But it got me thinking about the original Shaka Zulu miniseries that we saw in the 80s.
Which is on Netflix.
Right. Okay. So... Yeah. I want to revisit it because I have found again, another truth that is so ridiculous you're going to think I'm lying. You are really going to think I'm lying when I tell you this, but you're going to find out on that 80 show next week. That is called a throw forward. It's also called a throwaway because guaranteed Dori and I are going to forget about it.
No. Now you've really teased it. We can't forget about it.
Okay, Dori.
I will remind you.
If it's not on the running order for next week, because it was on the running order last week. If it's not on the running order for next week, ask me to take myself outside and go have a word with myself. Put my pants back on after listening to Wham. Go outside, talk to myself, ask me what I'm thinking. What was I thinking? And then to come back inside. All right.
Okay.
This has been That 80 Show. Everything we spoke about today can be found That 80 Show SA on Facebook, and the Wham documentary can be found on Netflix. And if you watch it and say into your, maybe you have like one of those TVs that has voice activated prompt, and you say That 80 Show as you click on it, Dori and I'll get R5. It's a new technology that I've just invented. So if you say that when you watch the Netflix, you'll get R5. And if you say it 3 times, Beetlejuice will come. So that's something for you to do for the weekend.
I thought you were going to say that we'd pop out of your TV.
Or you trust me, you want Beetlejuice. You want Beetlejuice every single day. Deo, you want Beetlejuice. Thanks for joining me, Dori. Goodbye.